Okie dokie. Let's look at the dominant 7 arpeggios. This is probably the most useful one. So you got that over chord 5, right? Naturally, chord 5 is dominant 7. But whenever you change a chord from minor to major, which if you've done the chord progression SCPR here, you know that happens quite a lot. And if you played a lot of songs, you know that as well, if you've been taking notes. And when that happens, when a minor chord has turned into a dominant, when a minor chord has turned into a major chord, it's almost always dominant 7. I mean, occasionally it's major 7, but almost always dominant 7. So that's another use for it. You can tritone substitute with this chord as well. With this arpeggio as well when you solo. There's a bit on that in chord progression SCPR as well. You can check that out and you'll see how I'm using the dominant 7 chord in the example I got several times. So this is a very, very useful arpeggio. You should definitely, without doubt, learn it in all 5 shapes, in all 12 keys. And because you did it to major 7 in the last step, this is going to be pretty simple. It's the same thing, just one note difference. So if we start with the G shape here, because that's the furthest down if we're in A, this was major 7 there. So that note's gonna go down there, and that note to there. It's easier actually, it's less stretchy. Root, flat 7, 5th, root, not root, 3rd. Root, flat 7, 5th, 3rd, root. Flat 7, 5th, 3rd, root. Okay, we got that, you go. Oops. Keep making mistakes, you just stay on it. Until you can do it. Oops. See, I keep changing it because I keep thinking pentatonics. See, this minor pentatonic. It's a really good one to kind of combine with that. But don't worry about that now, actually. I don't know why I mentioned that. That's B flat, E flat. Don't play that. A flat. D flat. And so on, right? E shape. You can see this whole thing, you never play this. But you can visualize it, and then it's just that one as well. You can do this as well, kind of play up one at a time. There's so many options here. Move that here. Here. F. B flat. And so on and so on. Okay, D shape. That's what you want to see. root, third, fifth, flat 7, root, third. In D. In G. No, that's an A, isn't it? That's in G. In C. It gets confusing after a while. Especially when you go through a lot of these in a row. So now we're in C, and now we're gonna go to F. Maybe play the chord as well. You can't remember what you're doing is programming your brain to see that and play this. B flat. Or E flat. It's hard on the acoustic here. A flat. Use different fingers as well, so it's not always the same fingering. It kind of makes you see it better, visualize it better. A flat, D flat. G flat. B. E. And A. So yeah, play around with it. It doesn't have to be the same all the time. Actually, it's better if it's slightly different all the time. Just so you start learning how to see it properly. C shape. Root fifth, flat 7, root third, fifth. Do that for everyone. And then move on. Don't think that's a great idea. It's better up here. Because you're learning the shape, right? B flat. What about the other way around? So E flat next. That's much harder, isn't it? Could do that for all of them. D flat. Just flip it upside down. Or there's so many options. B, E, and then back in A. So another trick you can do with tritone substitution then is A, instead of adding like those extra tension notes, flat 9, sharp 5, flat 5, to get a more crazy sound, more outside, it'll pull more up to the next chord. You can play a tritone substitution, so instead of playing this arpeggio, you play it from a tritone. needs demo. I'll talk a bit more about this in the chord progression thing. I got an example there, so maybe check that out. But that's a way to create more tension for the dominant 7. When dominant 7 is tension, right? It doesn't sound like that much tension now. But it's definitely more than the major 7, right? Okay, that's enough of me waffling on about the dominant 7 arpeggio. Get to work, play them in all shapes, in all keys. Very important. When you can do it, you can do it, and it's time to move on. Next step, the hardest one, minor 7 flat 5. I shall see you then.